Okay, I think I got it. Hi guys. So obviously I'm not Tanya Sheldon, so I am filling in for her tonight, and we have some amazing guests, which I'm so excited to hear your guys' story, and we'll get right into it. Let me just share my screen really quickly because there's 3 things that Tanya wanted me to go over really quick. Hopefully that goes off really smoothly, and you'll be able to see it too. Can everybody see and hear me all at the same time? Yes? Oh, good. Okay. So let me pull up my notes. Spring into action. April promotion is still going on. So there's 3 $100 store gift cards are up for grabs. This is the last week. There's only a few more days to be able to get in there and get some points for that. Wednesday Wisdom, which is what you can see on here. I'm super excited about that because they are going to be this week, they're going to be talking about how to start the conversation with people about LifeVantage, which that's kind of helpful for all of us, right? That one is going to be, you can either do it through Zoom or Facebook, and that's through One Person Big Difference. They are going to have that going. Oh, and then lastly, everyone working for Croatia, we just heard if you were on the Pose call, they talked about that a lot also too. Jean-Paul reminded us that what happened with Cancun can happen again with this one too, and we're only a couple months out, and that everyone still has a chance. So go, earn, qualify for that. And now let me see, let me stop sharing this and get back to that. Okay, so we have some amazing guests, which I am super excited, and I wrote down a couple of questions, but I'm excited to hear their story and for them to be able to share with us. So I won't take any more of their time, especially since I had technical issues. So Shauna and Troy logging, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah,
yes.
You did.
Oh, good. Okay, I practiced also. They're new Pro 5's. Which is an amazing achievement. That is huge. So I'm excited to hear your story. And thank you for saying yes. Thank you. Congratulations. And thank you for coming on tonight and letting me ask you some questions too. So why don't we start with you share your story, because I don't know if everybody knows your story. I know I don't. So I would love to hear it. And then maybe I can just ask you a couple questions after you share, if that's okay.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting us, Jen, and seeing you here in person.
I can't hear. Can anyone else? Does everyone else hear? Okay.
Yes. You guys hear me?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So,
I'll stop touching things. Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, when you say that you want to hear our story, like for me in my mind, it's a loaded answer, because to be perfectly honest, I haven't shared my story a lot yet. We are Pro 5's, but we've been in the business for just over a year, for 14 months. Wow. And so part of my personal growth is just being on the business side and getting out here and talking to people about what it looks like to be in LifeVantage. My husband has been in the business industry. So part of my growth is taking place right now, being in front of all of you. So I just want to say that, first of all, I don't know where all you guys are at with it, but I'm kind of nervous because I haven't been put in this place very often. So I just kind of wanted to get that in the clear at first. So I don't know, Troy, where do you want to start? Do you want to tell a little bit about?
Yeah. How did you guys find LifeVantage? What brought you to LifeVantage?
I probably will say that story, otherwise it'll get really long and we'll run out of time.
Okay.
So I'll dive into that one.
Okay.
She'll help, but really, we were one of the same people that started it maybe 8-10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
8 or 10 years ago, we started taking it, and then for some reason or other, probably the person that started us got us on it. We just didn't continue.
Okay.
With
the product? So you started the product?
On LifeVantage. Okay. Just the product. Okay. Yeah. And then I'll let Shauna take it from there.
Okay. So yeah, so like Troy said, about 8 years ago, we got started on the product. And actually I was doing it because I've kind of been a biohacker as far as health is concerned, for as long as I can remember. And my mom had a stroke. Well, it's been about 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. And so I was online researching and trying to find something to help her with her pain. And I was one of those that was like misdirected, and I was Googling it, right? And I came across it and saw Pro Tandem and started reading on it. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating. unlike anything else I'd ever read and heard about. And so right away, we got my mom and dad on it, got Troy's parents on it, and we got on it. And it lasted, like Troy said, probably for about 3 months. We didn't have anybody feeding into us. I kind of came upon it myself, thought I understood it, but if I really knew it, we had our hands on then, I never would have stopped. But kind of like a lot of other people that we've at least run into said, I've heard of that before and I tried that. And so we tried it and didn't really see anything or feel anything and just kind of dwindled off of it. And then fast forward so many years later, I kept the life, it's kind of a fun story because I kept the LifeVantage box from 8 or 9 years ago, and I just put it up in our mud hall shelf. And through the years, my kids and I have had some rummage sales, and we've brought it down. We've actually used it as a cash box, and then I would put it back on top of the shelf. And probably about 3 or 4 times through these past 8 years, I would get on because I'd see that box and be like, oh yeah, LifeVantage, Pro Tandem, I'm going to get on and check on that again. So I'd get online and I'd look at it and I'd be like, yeah, that's still really interesting. It's still holding out. And for me, longevity is really important because when it comes to health, I'm not the kind of person that like, I just get on something and try it. I want to know, first of all, its efficacy. I want to see the science behind it. And I also want to see it test the test of time, the longevity. And so for me, that was a big deal because every time I'd get on there, I'd see it and I'd be like, okay, it's still hanging in there. Oh, it still kind of looks cool. But there again, I never really had anybody feeding into me. And then about about 15 months ago, my son met a girl, and I was going to meet her mother. And I said to Troy, I'm going to go meet Michelle Poe. This is Callista's mom. And Troy was like, Michelle Poe? Well, I've known her for years. She was the one that would like every once in a while come and say, hey, you want to try that Pro Tandem? And you would kind of say, no, not yet. And so I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I went and met with Michelle, wanting just to get to know her daughter, actually. And we just started visiting, and when we were done talking about our kids, I said, Troy tells me that you're the one that has kind of mentioned Pro Tandem to us. Well, I've really kind of kept an interest. Can you tell me about that? So she told me about Pro Tandem, and I was just bug-eyed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. So got in my car, drove home, got in the house, and I tell you guys, I looked up at that box that just sits there. It's just for the strangest thing, because I never put it away or tossed it. And you'd think after having cash in it, like I'd go, oh yuck, that's just a dirty box, I'm going to toss it. I didn't. And I looked at that box and I just kind of thought, God, you have humor, because this was something I just kind of kept looking at. That box sat there, I kept seeing it, and I'm like, you just knew the way that I was going to get to it again was through my kids. So that's kind of my personal story with it. And so then Troy and I were talking about it, and we decided, heck, I mean, this product is amazing. And Troy, being the business person that he is, I said, well, should we just, should we get the Pro Tandem? Should we get the Tri-Synergizer? What should we do? And he was like, honey, we see the science, it's there. He said, why would we not get it all and just want to try it? And I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So that's kind of our journey into it. And so we really started on the product side, but as you guys all know, oh my gosh, the business part of it. And this is where I'm thankful for my husband, because you are so business savvy. And he would be like, and so he was like, oh, I want to learn more about this business. I want to see, the truth behind it. What do we have there? And so you can kind of take it from there and explain how we've arrived like at the business part of it, how we feel it's so powerful.
Yeah, I think that the conviction from the product really helped a lot. And then diving into the business, when you really look at it and you're trying to partner with somebody and you say, do I have something that is truly needed? And if I do have something that's truly needed, do I have it proven and documented that it does what it says? Consumable is a big part that does what it says. And if it does what it says, am I protected? We have patents, we're protected, 7 patents. If I'm protected, what's the company like? What can I trust the company? Can I trust a consumable product to maintain the same level of quality every time? And can I trust the leaders of the company, which is a big part? So then we go into saying, well, we are publicly traded. We have a board of directors that's outstanding. I actually love using Erin Brockovich. You think she's going to be part of a company that's not she's like a consumer lion. advocate out there. So she's part of our company. So when you piece it all together and you're looking for a company that you want to partner with, why wouldn't you partner with something like that? And then you go into the S curve and you really look at it and you look at adoption. I'm a big crypto person. I'm not even gonna go down that path right now, but that's up the adoption stage. What if you could have gotten into the internet at the adoption stage? What if you couldn't gotten into Amazon when it was adopting, when we were all going, what? No way, you can't order a piece of licorice and get free shipping and have it the next day, right? So nobody thought that. So I think our conviction actually has grown stronger and stronger and stronger, making it so much easier to talk to people about it, where there's just nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed or to have any second thoughts or doubts about anymore. There was in the beginning for me. I mean, it is in the early stages. You're like, oh my gosh, nobody likes rejection. Nobody wants that.
Mhm.
But when you can come back and say, like when somebody says, is this multi-level marketing? One, you want to say, absolutely it is. But the other the other response is, yes, it is. Tell me what you know about it.
Mm.
And that is a real, this is one that Shauna likes to use a lot. It's just tell me what you know about it. And you find out that they really don't know anything. They just think every multi-level marketing is a pyramid. That's what they think. So when you educate on that side of it, and then the beautiful side of the product, when I first started like trying to really look at the business, because I was like, no way, no how am I doing multi-level to start with? It's a great company, great business. Let's get the box. Let's look at it. Because I used to go and vomit NRF2, oxidative stress, and gloss over the eye look. Now it's just so simple for me to talk to people and say, if I could show you something that reduced oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days in every single person, and knowing that oxidative stress is the root cause of all disease, would you like to hear more about it? That's pretty simple.
That's what you like to talk.
And
First intro to people is
yes, that instead of just going into all of that, I mean, we have so much here we want to say, but it's too much for a person to consume.
And actually, I would say too that most of our approach so far, and I think, like all of you, this is such a growth thing for each of us. And so if you talk to me in 6 months, I might tell you some things differently. But right now, most of the people that we're getting aboard with us and joining, either being a customer or a distributor, are people that we're just out having conversations with, not intentionally going to talk about the product. But like you guys all know, like you're so passionate about it, you can't not think about it, and every single person needs it. So that every person you're with, it needs it, right? So that's kind of a given. So your heart's already there. But honestly, most of the people were people that we just were sitting and visiting with, and then they said something that triggered it. And so like Troy at his work, I mean, he talks to clients about mortgages, but he's very personal. And so they might say something about, oh yeah, what were you doing this week? And oh yeah, we were hanging out with our dog. Oh, my dog. And then he says, oh, your dog, how old's your dog? And then there comes a pet tandem. Let me tell you about pet tandem, right? And then for me, like I said, health has been very important to me. And I mean, I consider myself an expert in health. I have several certifications and a degree in wellness and exercise science. So I've always been very passionate about it. And so those conversations will sometimes just naturally, we'll be talking about health. And then the person will just say something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, have you ever heard of, and then it goes off from there. So as of now, I feel like most of it is just kind of happening for us organically, and we haven't had to force anything.
But we'll take that back a little bit.
Yeah.
We've had to be persistent.
Yes.
We had immediately thought of a couple of people that were like, oh my gosh, this would take their pains away from everything. This is the answer for them. But it took, a long
11
time.
months.
And 3, 4, 5, the shutdown at first, the no thanks, that's not for me. And it is, it is. So if it is, and you have a product that's incredible, and the business that will work for them, you just got to find ways to drip it into the conversation. And then honestly, the biggest thing that happened for us was in-home meetings. I feel like that was huge. That's what took one of the couples over the top. And they came to one and they actually saw some of the people there that had experiences, and we discussed them, and the passion that knee to knee, right, face to face is so incredible. Zooms are awesome, but it does not give you that. You don't get that feeling from each other over Zoom. Person to person, you do. And I know it sounds archaic, but to do a in-person meeting, but we have another one tomorrow night that we have. I don't know how many people are coming. I don't how many. Anyway, a lot.
Yeah.
But just because it's so important, but that's really what took us over the top on a few people. And then persistency with another one. And sometimes it's just that right thing at the right time, and in the timing that sparks that interest. And one of them, honestly, was a runner, right? They just took off and they had a network across America, and you just try to support that as well as you can. But I have come to learn is in all of that, that's why the 3x3 or the 5x5 type system actually works. That's why the MVP program is out there, because it works. 3 people get 3 people, get 3 people, and somewhere in there, you're going to find a couple runners, right? And that's what you're looking for. You don't, our perspective is you don't need 500 people on your front line. That you'd be working a lot. The idea is to get those below us and then to support everybody below us and to have that grow from there. So that's what we've kind of been working on and focusing on.
And like also, I want to say, just elaborate a little bit more on how we said it took about 11 months for our first couple of distributors. It's kind of funny because when I have conversations with them and I'll say, remember back when I sent you that video in the beginning? And they're like, what? You sent a video? And like, for me, it was like major, it was like, I'm sending them this video and it's a big deal. And what are they going to say back? Honestly, I just want to emphasize how sometimes it's just not the right time for them to hear it, because they don't even hear it. But a no is not a no. And I know we hear that a lot. And I was told that a lot, a no is not a no. But until you actually get out there and take action and experience that, a no is not a no. Because you plant the seed and then that person comes around again, if you're being relational, and it just comes out in conversation again. And all of a sudden it's like a little light bulb goes on and they hear things and they don't even remember anything I said to them before. So that's kind of a funny thing that I guess I hear back from them, is that they didn't even remember me connecting with them. So I just find that interesting.
Jen, you just put keep it simple. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I had to turn off the complex button and turn on the simple button, because you want to spew all that knowledge. And I don't know. People want people to tell them what to do when they're asked you a question. They want to be given the proper information to make an informed decision. But it can be simple. Your car works and runs really well. Do you know how the engine works? Do you know what the camshaft is? What? And the rings and the pistons. We don't know that. We don't need to. We know it works good because we've proven it. We've shown it, and we can document all of it. So I think we've just gained so much confidence and conviction when you're talking to people. I mean, get somehow find your confidence, find your conviction. I mean, I've been doing mortgages for 20 years. I've got a team of 17 people. I teach all my loan officers to be confident and convicted when you're speaking to people. Give them all the information that they need to make an informed decision. And normally that just leads right over into this. But I would say you need to be convicted in the company if you're going to talk about business, and you need to be confident in the product when you mix them together. So if it takes doing a little bit of educating and a little bit of time and a little bit of research, have that, get that, take that. It doesn't come, and there's I think it was Mark Shinsato that might have said, you feel like you work for hardly anything the first 2 years, and then 2-3 years, and then depending on how fast you go with it, and then you feel like you might be overpaid for the work you're doing when it becomes time to support the downline. And we're not at that stage. So I'm just saying, I'm just repeating what Mark said, but that was incredible. And we haven't missed an event. We started off right away going to the events, and they were like, if y'all were on the call tonight, the PO team call, that was, we just feel like those events Man, they're so awesome.
Well, and honestly, like when Troy says events, that's actually what fired me up to have an in-home gathering,
Mhm.
because to me it was like I'm overlooking this. Like, what is it that we loved when we were there? We loved being surrounded with people that wanted to learn about the same things, to hear stories, to feed into each other, to get those third party validations, just to have it be an all natural kind of relational setting. And so I was super nervous for our first in-home. This will be our third. We're trying to do one a month. And the first one, I was super nervous for it, but also like I was super excited for it, because it was almost like a mini event. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is my own global, in my home, and they're coming, and we're going to do this and this and this. And some people are going to share their testimonies. And so honestly, that's the fire that I get up for. I mean, that's the fire I feel for these in-home gatherings, is like they're a mini global, literally.
Great way to think about it. I've never
Yeah.
thought of it that way. That's an awesome thought to carry forward about home meetings. That's awesome. And you can feel your passion. So 2 things I've heard so far is keep it simple,
Mhm.
go to events, have home meetings. What is something that you do on the daily to build your belief in the company or in the product? Like what does a item in your day look like that you do? Do you do a DMO? Do you have like a set thing that you take care of every single day that you are like, this is a non-negotiable, I have to do this every single day?
So it probably looks different for both of us, because he has a different schedule than me, but this is what I do. And so I don't have a job outside of this currently. I do some personal training with resistance bands, but that takes very little time for me. And so for me, a non-negotiable is connecting with the resources that LifeVantage provides. And like, I can't tell my new distributors that enough, like, don't take this for granted, right? I mean, we have this at the tip of our fingers. So I'm very intentional about getting on like our OPBD, getting on Vitality Living, and looking and seeing what's happening and staying engaged in that part of it. So for me, that's a non-negotiable. And that's the way I stay connected. But then just because I'm so passionate about health, I mean, I think that that's an ongoing thing for me anyway, because I continue to educate and research in the area of preventative health. And there again, I also use our resources like we direct everybody else to. I think I probably go to PubMed maybe every other day, just to see if there's new studies out there in relationship to what we have.
So do you just type in like NRF2, or you type in Protanum every other day just to see what studies are popping up?
Yes, yes, and yes. Yeah, oxidative stress, Protanum, NRF2, but also just in visiting, and when I hear these new, I know I've learned so much about different diseases that I didn't even know existed. So just in talking to people, and they might mention something, or they might say, my grandma has this, or my cousin has this. That's like in my head, I remember that. I write it down, I go, and then I look it up. So that for me just keeps continuing validating in what we have, and that it is for real. Because I'm like a lot of other people, I kind of go into it trying to disproving it, or if I hear something, I question it and I think, I don't think so. So then that's where I just go into it and I dig more. And so, and I just want to let you guys know that for me, because you asked what's a non-negotiable, something that's new, that's a non-negotiable for me, that takes me outside of my comfort zone, is I need to be out in public, because if I'm not around people, it's not going to happen. And so my husband Troy has been very great about saying, Shauna, go work on your laptop at the coffee shop, go out and walk around the mall, just go do those things, because that's where you're going to see more people. And so for me right now, that's where a lot of my growth is taking place, is being very intentional about going out in public and just crossing paths with people. So for me, that's a non-negotiable as well.
I think mine, whenever I'm on the treadmill or I'm walking, I'm listening. I'm always like these videos from the Pro 9s, Pro 10s, just listening to everybody's take, and not only just the product stuff, but on the business side of things. Because I mean, ultimately we want to get distributors in, we want to help people too, but you want to grow your business. We really want to grow your business. And I think that studying that, like what do we say? How do we tell the company story in a real quick time to make somebody think, well, why wouldn't I want to hear more about that company and that product? And they don't even need to know everything about it. They need to know that little piece that we take care of 40% of what causes most disease. Can I tell you more about it? So that's what I'm practicing. That's what I'm learning to speak more about. And then the product comes with it, right? Because it's the $1,000 investment. If you want to start your own business, it's $1,000 investment, $200 a month. That's as cheap as it's ever going to get to start your own business. You don't have to carry any inventory. It's all drop shipped for you, right? So there are people, you'd be shocked and surprised at the people that you don't realize that actually are looking for something different. Yeah.
Typically, when you're talking to people, you lead with the business, that this is the business, and then you follow up with the product.
Depends on the person.
Okay.
Completely depends on the person. Yeah. Sometimes the lead into the sometimes like right now, it's the product. I've got 2 people coming tomorrow that this was about the product. And then I told them, we'll talk a little bit about the business, but I just want you to focus on the product. I want to take away the fear. Like don't worry about that bit, because I've said it. We were at a Life Vantage event in Phoenix last week with Carrie Dickey was doing one, which was incredible to be at. We were lucky to be there just on vacation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have no idea what I was just going to say. It just left me.
Oh, so it was that good. It was
Yeah,
that
it was that good. But God, what was I saying? Anyway, I'll think of it.
You'll think of it. And then just interrupt me, Jen, because I was going to continue on something that you had asked too. You said, so how do you lead into it? You lead into it with the business or the product. I have found recently what's been happening more for me is, just like I said, getting out in public, and then all of a sudden I see people and they're like, oh, so you kind of stop and you have that casual talk. Oh, so what are you doing? Most people say, so what are you doing now? And when I lead in and I say, well, I'm partnering with a business, Life Vantage, and it's a business that is, that is into cell activation through nutrigenomics, and a big anti-aging. It's a big anti-aging. It has a big anti-aging industry. Anyway, I'll try to keep it simple. So I kind of basically just say that. And then depending on how they respond, because some people will hear the business part and some people will hear the health part. So I feel like I kind of let them pull me in the direction, because right away, like that. Oh, what do you do? I think you're working. So then I'll kind of elaborate on the actual working business part. Or somebody will say, what? Cell activation? What? I know you love health, but what? Tell me about that. Then that's where I start on the product part. So I think just having that introduction once again and just saying what I'm doing, sometimes they'll determine the path that I take.
Mm-hmm. It always ends up talking about the business, especially like when the whole meetings, because I know what I was going to say. The 2 people that I invited, it was about, it started off as product, and then we're going to have it at the home meeting, and it'll start with, then we talk about the business side of it. But it is, and I just feel like you can't want it more for them than they want it. So you have to pay some, otherwise they feel like they're, we're wanting people in the business because we know, it's not because I need another distributor. It's because we know this is going to be awesome for them. I don't want to, again, at the Marks and Shadow LVA that we had in town here, a gentleman stood up and said, I want to find people that are motivated, but that don't need motivation.
That's good.
That's stuck with me. That's like, it's so true. So we can't want it more for them because of your benefit. We want it for them. And that's why I think it shines through. They know that you're just trying to help them get what they want. Some just takes a while.
Yeah.
And I think those first 3 months I say 3 months, but I think those are really critical, because there again, Troy, like Troy said, we're honestly not, and it's fine. There's not a right or wrong. Some people are all about the numbers and they want to get so many distributors, so many customers in so many days. And that's great. But right now, like I said, 6 months from now, maybe that'll change. But for us, it's been about finding the person and then letting them lead the way and them gaining their belief in it. Because if we get somebody on it fast just to get going, I don't feel good about that relationship wise. And I also know from other areas of my life, being in the health industry, that you can't force anything on anybody. And if somebody does something just because I tell them to, that's not going to be sustainable. I want to first help them build their belief and their why. And so that goes back into like what Mark Shinsato said, that the first couple of years, I think you feel like you're doing a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy. But then all of a sudden, when you have so many of those people that have their own belief, then they take it and they run because they have their belief and they want nothing more than somebody else believing in it. So that's very, very important to us rather than trying to get a lot of numbers too.
Yeah.
And people
Right.
sense when you want something for them or when you want something from them. And we honestly want this for people in their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, the conviction and persistency, you hear it all the time from people, but man, is it so true? I think you've all experienced that. I mean, there's one person that's finally coming tomorrow night. He's theoretically coming tomorrow night that I've invited all 3 times. You know, so you don't know, but I just know that
It'll be in his timing.
it's in his timing, but I'm not going to give up on him because I know that it's what they need.
Mhm.
So that's just the persistence, conviction and consistency to me, just, yeah.
Yeah, those 3 are very important. Okay, I think we're getting close to time, so I don't want to go over your time. What's one business tip that you could give for somebody that's brand new or that's been in the business a long time? What's one thing that you think is crucial for the business? Your own personal business. And I'm gonna look at the chat and see if I missed anything.
I mean, it's not going to be an epiphany, but I really feel like you need to be convicted. I don't think that you can have somebody be part of something without being convicted yourself. Like, dive into who the board of directors is, dive into who the company is, dive into what does it mean if it's public, right? Dive into that. Like, if you're thinking the business side of it, for me, that's the side that we want to grow the most, is this, because the product will come with the business faster. The business will come with the product, but on a slower time because it's 6 months to try the Tri-Synergizer. I would also say, if you want to get the best results, just go right to Tri-Synergizer, not Protandim.
Yeah.
Right to Tri-Synergizer. That's where the efficacy is so high, and they're seeing so many results from that synergy between all 3 of those versus just one.
Did you want to say something? You look like you wanted to say something. Did you have
no, I was just trying to think of I've got my business cap on here, right? You asked what would be the business part. The thing that came to my mind when you said that was just a person's why. And I think you could go with that either with a new distributor, a new person, or somebody that's been there forever that's kind of starting to question and sit back and question themselves, is just to revisit their why. And that's just part of there again, this whole business is about being relational. And I think when somebody doesn't really know their why, that's kind of our, I don't want to say it's our duty. I think it's our responsibility as a human being to try to help that person find their why and dig into that for them. And if somebody is sitting back and now they're no longer doing well, they've been in the business for a long time, but they're just having, life happens and they get drugged down, is to notice that and be mindful of that and revisit their why with them. So the why really stands out to me. And that, I think, falls in line with what Troy was saying about conviction and belief as well.
Right, because we're not selling anything.
No.
I mean, there's a big difference. I don't want to sell anything. And they said that on this call before this one. It's not about sales. It's when you are convicted and you know your stuff, you know your product, and you're coming from the heart, it's providing somebody a service or a product that you feel like they really need. So I think we didn't get to practice this beforehand. We didn't see the questions. So
I think that was awesome. I got so much out of that from both of you. So thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for dealing with my technical difficulties at the beginning. I don't want to hold you over because I know everybody's time is precious, but we always pray at the end of a Team Act call. You're welcome to stay on if you want, or if not, then thank you so much for answering our questions. It was awesome. I agree, Tom. It was awesome. It was an awesome call.
Thank you, everybody, for respecting us too and honoring us with your time. So thank you.
Yeah.
We'd love to pray with you.
Perfect. Awesome. Oh, dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for LifeVantage. I thank you for the people that you bring together. We truly become such an amazing family, and we get to connect alongside with one another and learn and grow from each other and encourage each other on. It is so needed in this time in our world. We need more people to go out and be that light and of hope and positivity, Lord. And I just thank you so much for these awesome couple that came to speak to us tonight, Lord, that you would bless them, bless their ministry as well. and their business, that you would continue to help each of us just to grow in our conviction for this, that we will be able to share boldly with everyone that we come in contact with, because the world definitely does need this. Thank you for that. And we thank you for this call in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so many
You can
nuggets.
feel free to call or reach out if you're going to do an in-home meeting. If you haven't done one for a while, if you just want to ask some questions, we'd be happy to answer it all. Or if you're in Sioux Falls and you have somebody, if we have one, you're welcome to bring them over. Come on over.
That's awesome. I wish I was there. I definitely would come over. Next time I'm in town. Thank you again.
Okay.
I appreciate
you.
that so much. Thank you for all of your nuggets tonight too. So, and I'm going to stop the call. Let me stop the call. And then we have Wham after this. So I'm going to say goodbye to those of you that are not on Wham, and tell Shauna and Troy, thank you so much in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. We could not have done this without you.